Hello there, Year 11. It's Mr. Harper here from Business Studies. Here to talk to you about taking business studies at A level. So let's get ourselves started. Take business studies to start your success story. Yeah, many people in our school and at all different years are interested in business studies. They're interested in working in the city or working somewhere else. And so business studies is a great start for that. So let's go through what the actual A level is, what you'll study, where it can take you, etc., and why maybe you might be the right fit. Okay, so first off, the department, we've got Miss O'Sullivan, who is the head of the whole of the department. So she runs the economics, the business, the finance, the Cambridge Technical, the GCSE, everything. Okay. Then you've got myself, the head of A-level business. You've got Miss Carnham. She doesn't like a picture, so that's why she's not there, but she teaches A-level as well. And then you've got Miss Garney, who is, yes, she's kind of fair, but she will track you down and hunt you for all your work if you are late at handing in your work, which is great of her for us. And she also teaches the A level as well. So they're the main teachers in the department that you need to get to know. So let's just jump in. What does the A level business studies actually entail? Okay, so we have 2-year course. So the A level is 2 years. And in your first year, when you're in year 12, you learn 2 different themes. Okay, you learn theme 1, which is marketing and people. Now that covers learning all about the different types of businesses, from sole traders through to the PLCs, like your Apples and your Googles who are on the stock market. It's learning all about different marketing techniques, different ways to promote and advertise a business, different ways to price your products and price your services that you may offer. So understand why maybe something $9.99 or 99p, understand why Coke and Pepsi are very similar prices. So understanding pricing strategies, understanding different things about the product, the design of the product, the creation of the product, the market research behind the product. Okay. But beyond that, it also thinks about the entrepreneur, the individual, the person who comes up with the idea, the risks that they take. What are they actually doing? What sort of skills do they need? Do you have those sort of skills? So what we're talking about here is, do we have that sort of drive, that get up and go? Do you have the ability to lead? Do you have the ability to communicate effectively? Do you have the ability to persuade? Okay. And why is it so important that entrepreneurs have these skills? Okay. You got to be able to convince people that your idea is amazing. Okay, so we need to understand why that's so important. And then we also need to understand what motivates people, what not just motivates the person to run a business, but what motivates the people who work for them. How can they be motivated? What are the theories behind that? Okay, so that's theme 1. There's quite a lot in theme 1, but we get through it really well. There's also another theme called managing business activities. Now, this looks at other areas. This looks at the business is already set up and processed. Okay. We need to understand how to get money. So raising and financial planning, where can money come from? It's not just always in our back pockets. We need to learn about the advantages and disadvantages of taking out a bank loan, the advantages and disadvantages of selling shares to other people. Okay. We also need to understand about using that finance, not just getting it, but how to use it, where to use it. We need to understand about cash flow, money coming in, money going out, how important all of that is. Okay. The other things we need to fully focus on are things like resource management. Okay, so a business that manufactures products, that makes products. So, for example, Apple and Samsung, we may need to look at their suppliers. Where do they get their supplies from? How long does it take for supplies to reach them? How quickly can they turn those supplies into products to sell? Okay, it's really important that we manage the resources, we manage the people that make those resources as well. Okay. We also need to look at, in the first year, the external environment. What actually is outside of a business that affects us? So we need to look at the laws and legislations, the rules, the regulations, the things that the politicians have done. So this year especially, and last year, we have had the COVID rules that have really impacted how businesses can work. Okay. We have the economic environment, such as interest rates, inflation, Exchange rates. What about if you want to sell your products or buy products from another country? Okay, we really need to get into the grip of all of that. Okay, so that is year 12. That really gets you into the actual overall subject. Okay, now in year 12, we offer an AS, and so therefore you get 2 external exams. Okay, they will happen in the May and June of your first year, so at the end of year 12, and they will be split into 2 papers. There'll be paper 1, which focuses very much on theme 1, and paper 2, which focuses much on theme 2. Now, just to make it clear, there are 3 sections in the paper. So here we've got paper 1 on the screen. It is worth 50% of the AS grade. Okay, it is 1 hour 30 minutes. It is out of 80 marks. There are 3 sections, section A and section B and section C. Now, if I'd like to highlight just here, questions in section A and B will be drawn from theme 1, but questions in section C will also use some content from theme 2. So they're already getting you used to be understanding that you need to mix the 2 themes together when answering questions. Okay. Now, questions will be drawn from local, national, global context. So it might talk about a small independent shop, it may talk about a national chain, or it may talk about a global business dealing across the world. Okay, they are written exams. Okay, so that's paper 1. Paper 2, exactly the same. It's set out the same, ABC, 1 hour 30, 80 marks. Section C will also take on theme 1. Okay, and again, national, local, and global contexts. Okay, now the grade at the end of year 12 will help to set you a target for the end of year 13. It is externally assessed, so it will give you AS marks, which means it's sort of like half of an A level if you were to finish the course there, and it would give you points for UCAS. Okay, but that's not what we're expecting. We're expecting you guys to be on it for the full 2 years, getting yourselves that great A level. Okay, so you move into year 13. What are you expected to study? Okay, so now we've got theme 3 and theme 4. Now, running alongside of these, we will be doing revision of theme 2 and revision of theme 1. Now, the reason I've put theme 3 and theme 2 together is because in the exams, they go together in one exam. And I've put theme 4 and theme 1 together because in an exam, they also go together. So let's have a look at the bottom, as we can see here, following my little arrow. Business decisions and strategy. So this theme develops beyond theme 2 and links in with it. So here we have to understand about the objectives that businesses set, the aims that they set. Okay, why do they set them? Why are they so important? How does it help them move along into the future? Okay, we have to look at strategy and theory. So here we have to understand, why are some businesses focused on the lowest cost possible, like Ryanair, how to keep costs down as much as possible, whereas a competitor of theirs, I don't know, let's say Emirates or Etihad, focus on high quality and high prices. Okay, so we need to look at, why do they adopt their strategies? We need to look at different methods of business growth, so the way businesses grow over time and the different ways that they can grow to help them survive. We need to look at decision-making techniques. So when a business decides it wants to buy a new factory, move to a new country, buy new machinery, invest in a new product, we need to come up with we need to look at the different ways in which they can do that. Okay. We also then need to look at what can influence those decisions. You know, how much money do you have? Who are your competitors? What is the market looking like? You know, let's be honest, go back a few years, loom bands, those weird elastic bands, everybody went crazy for them for about 6 months and then gone. So really, what influenced people to come up with those? Okay. We then have assessing competitiveness. So here we're looking at how well the business is doing, how well are they doing with regards to their marketing, how well are they doing with regards to their profit in comparison to previous years or comparison to their competitors. And then finally, we have to look at managing change, quite a strong subject. Here we're looking at how businesses deal with if they merge together, if they take over somebody, if their influential CEO leaves or retires. So think, for example, if Alan Sugar was to leave his companies, or Richard Branson was to leave his, or when Steve Jobs passed away, how did it impact those large companies, and what did they do to manage this big change? Okay, so that's theme 3, and that really follows on from theme 2 and back in year 12. We then have theme 4, which is global business. So everything in theme 4 really focuses on international. Okay, so we've got globalization, the understanding of this, the understanding of how businesses are able to sell and move around overseas so easily. We look at the expansion of businesses overseas and the different reasons why they do that and how they do that. Okay, we look at global marketing. Think clearly, if Mr. Buns the Bakers decided to do an advert or a promotion, he'd probably do it in a local paper or a flyer in the houses nearby. But Nike, Adidas, they're going to do global marketing. They're going to think on a huge scale for things like the World Cups or the Olympics or things like that. Okay, so they're going to have to look at it in a very, very different way. And if you think what I mentioned before is theme 1, talked about marketing. Now we're talking about global. We're taking it beyond into a larger scale. Okay. We then have to look at all these different things, sort of multinational corporations. Now, all of these themes are extremely important, and they all need to constantly be gone over. Okay. So how do the exams work in year 13? So we have 3 papers. Okay. So paper 1 looks at marketing, people, and the global business. So that is theme 1 and theme 4. Okay. And this time it is 2 hours and it's worth 100 marks. And this is worth 35% of the overall A level. Okay. Paper 2, exactly the same way. It is worth 35%. It is 2 hours and it is worth 100 marks. Okay. And this time, this comprises themes 2 and 3. Okay. The final paper, paper 3, is a little different. It is worth 30% of the overall qualification. It gives questions based on all 4 themes, theme 1, 2, 3, and 4. But earlier in the year, we are given a little bit of pre-release context. Okay, so usually in the November. Now the context allows us to sort of understand the types of businesses to research, the potential types of questions that could come up. Okay, and it's really important to get our heads around what they want us to say. Okay, now again, 2 hours, 100 marks. If I went a little bit fast, here's a recap. So at the end of year 12, you do 2 exams, paper 1 and paper 2. And as I said, they don't count towards the final A level, but they're really important for things like references, for UCAS, target grades, help you understand where you're at. They also, if you were to stop at that stage, give you UCAS points, okay? But realistically, the A level is a 2-year course, and so we need to look at the second bullet point. This is where it really counts. 3 exams at A2, okay? Each exam 2 hours, each exam 100 marks, okay? And it recaps everything you've learned across the 2 years. Only those 3 A2 papers count towards the final grade, okay? So a common question I get is, do I need GCSE business studies? The simple answer here is no. You can do the A level without GCSE business. What I do say to a lot of people is, you don't need the GCSE in business, but it does help if you have, okay? Because a lot of the A level follows on from what people have learned in the GCSE. But don't let that put you off if you haven't studied GCSE and you're thinking about the A level, because many of my previous students have actually gone on and done really well, having not done the GCSE. So last summer, we had a student who'd never done GCSE business, thought about it at the last minute, came in, studied A level, and got an A grade. Okay, as long as you apply yourself, as long as you're passionate about doing it, you can get a great grade. It doesn't matter if you've not studied GCSE before. Okay, as I said, those who have, it helps with the basics, it helps them build up on their knowledge. For those who haven't, it's still possible to get a great grade. Okay, so what can I actually do with business studies? A lot of students are like, but what can it do? Well, realistically, almost anything. Okay, so some people do marketing, so marketing executive, the people who come up with those promotions, those campaigns, they come up with new products. Corporate investment banker, even chartered accountants, product manager, management consultant, risk manager. A risk manager is somebody who deals in insurances, deals in gambling on risk in a sense. Okay, project managers, people who come up and work on specific projects for products or for companies, and they can get paid quite a lot to do that. You can work for small companies, medium companies, large multinational companies. Okay, there's no real limit to what you can do having studied business studies. All right. Students from business studies have gone on to many universities. Here's just a few samples of universities from the last year and the last 2 years really, where students have gone on. We've got Queen Mary, we've got Hertfordshire, Warwick, City, De Montfort, UEL, Leicester, Manchester, Essex, Westminster, Greenwich, UCL, Birmingham, King's, loads more. In fact, if I, because we have quite a lot of people taking the subject, there's lots of university choices. And for those of you wanting to go on to university, there are plenty of different subject courses you could go on to. But what I will say is if you have an idea of a course you want to go on to, take a look at the university's website, take a look at the UCAS website. What do they want from you? What grades, what other subjects do they want from you? Okay, don't just choose based on one subject. Sometimes you may need maths for a certain subject. So for example, if you were to study economics or if you were to study accounting, maybe they want maths with that. Okay, if you were to study sort of marketing, maybe they want psychology with that. If you were to study a sort of science-based thing, do you need physics or chemistry? Do you need law or a language? Okay, there are so many different courses out there. Make sure you're aware of what subjects you need alongside business to do that. Okay. What type of degrees have our students studied? So in the last year, we've had students go on to do business management, accounting and finance, marketing. They've done communications, they've done law, they've done computer science, they've done engineering. Okay, there is no sort of set path if you study business studies. In fact, business studies opens lots of doors. As I said previously, it all depends on the other subjects you study and what you are passionate about and what you want to move on to. Okay. So what can you study? You can study, well, you can study any subject with business really. So when you're choosing your other subjects at sixth form, you can have maths, law, psychology, PE, languages, product design, media, religious studies. You could go art, English, and every subject works well with business studies. It's all about what do you want to do. So if I said, if you wanted to do accounting and finance, maybe maths would be a really strong subject to have alongside of you. If you wanted to go work for a corporate law firm, law maybe on the other side could help you. If you wanted to study things like marketing and advertising, psychology is a great subject to have alongside. If you're thinking of working in sport, PE, there are lots of business people in sport. Okay, not everybody's performing sport. Maybe they're being physiotherapy. Maybe they are a coach of some sort. Business and PE work really well on that. I do think languages at this moment in time, because business is a global sort of side of things. So languages, French, German are excellent things to have alongside a business studies A level. And a lot of universities are doing business with language. and then people are going off and studying in other countries and moving and living in other countries, giving themselves a great opportunity at new jobs and excellent changes in life. Okay, product design, great product. You know, we study about market market research and understanding about what's called the design mix. And that would, you know, some of you may be extremely creative and want to come up with your own products, come up with your own ideas. Business and product go really well together with that. Maybe you want to work in television. Business would give you the help with things like understanding how industries work, and media would help you with the other side of things. Okay. Religious studies gives critical thinking. Business needs critical thinking, especially for strategies. Okay, there's so many good mixes, different skills, history, geography. You know, the different skills you learn from that work perfectly with the skills you've got from business studies. As I've said, business studies works with everything. It's a great subject in the fact that it really allows you to sort of focus on a select industry, or if you're not sure what you want to do, give you lots of options. Okay. Alongside learning in the classroom, it is expected you do extra study outside. So here's a few examples. There's so many out there. There's Tutor2U, which has its own Twitter page, YouTube page. There are Pearson, which is Edexcel. They have their own Twitter and websites and video pages to help with revision. There's Business Review, which is a magazine, but you can get online. There's the Financial Times, which actually you can log into from school for free, which is great because it has lots of information. It has lots of business knowledge. It even has specific little tasks set for A-level business. Okay, you need to make sure you're aware of the news from various sources. You also need to be, like, you know, passionate about a subject. Okay, it really helps. The more passionate you are about learning a subject, being involved with it, understanding what goes on around outside of it, really makes a student do a lot better. Okay, you'll understand that I really love my subject. I love what goes on. I love what's happening in the real world, because business studies is the real world. Okay, even when you're learning theory, you apply it to the real world at all times. Okay? So it's a subject that really helps with everything, but you've got to be aware of what's going on around you. Okay. Finally, a little saying: fail to plan, then plan to fail. Okay. Planning is an important part for any business. It is essential in helping them to meet their aims and objectives, as well as help avoid business failure. So you plan your future with business. Make sure it meets your aims. Make sure it meets your objectives. Do you want to go to university? Do you want an apprenticeship? Okay. What do you want to do? What do you want to study? What do you want to be? Plan now. It really makes a big difference. And I hope you plan with business studies. Okay. If you have any more questions, you know you can find me on Show My Homework. When we're allowed back into school, you'll be able to come to the business department and speak to me there. You can also speak to Miss O'Sullivan about anything if you've got any extra questions. Okay. Please do not hesitate to contact me, and please, hopefully, I will see you all in September studying A-level business.